In May 2025, siblings Lily and Jack Sullivan disappeared from their homes in Nova Scotia while their mother and her boyfriend slept. Despite being well covered in media and extensive searches, they have yet to be found. Hello, welcome back to my channel where I deep dive into true crime, paranormal phenomena, cults, and history. Please like and subscribe. But without further ado, let's get into today's case. I'm discussing the tragic disappearance of Lily and Jack Sullivan. This is their story. Today's case takes place in Lansdowne Station, Nova Scotia. Lansdowne is a small, isolated residential area in Pictou County near the New Lairg mining area. Lily and Jack lived on a royal property on Gairloch Road in Lansdowne, Nova Scotia in Pictou County. The property is surrounded by woods, steep banks, and thick brush. They live with their mother, Malaya Brooks Murray, their stepfather, Daniel Martel, and their 1-year-old sister. Malaya was part of the Mi'kmaq tribe, specifically of Sipekne'katik First Nations group. This is an indigenous tribe, primarily in Nova Scotia. Malaya was described as quiet and timid. She was very non-confrontational and would avoid disagreements at all costs. Malaya began dating a man named Cody Sullivan. I could not find any definite information, but they started dating in either 2016 or 2017. Approximately 3 years later, they found out that Malaya was pregnant. In March of 2019, Lily Sullivan was born. Lily was intelligent, curious, and energetic. She enjoyed coloring and spending time outside. She questioned everything, but also loved to play and use her imagination. She was absolutely devoted to the color pink. She wore pink everything, boots, blankets, etc. She just completed kindergarten and looked forward to the first grade. Lily has light brown hair and hazel eyes. In October 2020, her brother Jack was born. When the case occurred, he was 4. He was described as her shadow and constant companion. Jack had dark brown hair with hazel eyes. He was also as curious as his sister, but more reserved. But if he liked you, he would let you know. He had a bus driver he was particularly close to. The bus driver remembered him telling stories, and if Jack felt like he was not listening, he would throw his boot at him. He wore these dinosaur boots all the time. He was really attached to Lily. If she went somewhere, he had to follow his older sister. He was a normal little boy who loved searching for bugs. As of 2026, Lily would have been 7 and Jack would have been 6 in October. The family was described as normal and loving. Malaya, however, was not happy. She told Cody that she wanted to leave him. She requested full custody of Lily and Jack. Cody did not fight this. He walked away from the relationship with Malaya and the children. It seems like this is mostly because she wanted to raise them on her own. When the siblings disappeared, Cody had not seen them in 3 years. He was paying child support until 2024 when he lost his job. He then moved with his mother, Melinda Gray, on Eastern Shore. Eastern Shore is 73 kilometers or 45 miles from Lansdowne. Prior to moving back in with his mother, Melinda said she and Cody had always had distance between them, and he was closer to his father. Eventually, Malaya was ready to start dating and began using Facebook dating. She met and began seeing a new man named Daniel Martel in 2022. Who was this Daniel guy? He was 34 years old when they met. He had a history of drug use, specifically meth and cocaine. Malaya claimed she was unaware of this until a year after they started dating. He attended Narcotic Anonymous 3 times a week, so he seemed to really be trying to change. They moved crazy fast and moved in together within weeks of dating. Daniel was working at a local sawmill. He was originally working full-time until the spring of 2025. Once the season starts, a ban on heavy trucks prevents the mill from operating at full capacity. His hours decrease from only working 1 shift a week. This has to be difficult for a family of 3 small children, and it must have been a lot of financial stress. When Malaya found out she was pregnant in 2023, they moved into Daniel's childhood home where his mother Janie lived. She was actually from Truro, which is like 65 kilometers or 40 miles. This is away from the father of her children and all of her family. In early 2024, Malaya gave birth to her second daughter, Meadow. With the grown family, Janie decided to move out of the main house and into a camper outside the house. This area in particular has a lot of woods. With Middle River nearby, it was super remote. Neighbors were scarce, and the county as a whole was around 100 people. Most people that lived in the area had families living there for generations. This is also a lot of multi-family living there as well. This is important because Malaya moved there from her support system to be isolated around Daniel's family. The property was decently spacious. They had a playset and a chicken coop. Although surrounded by woods, the home property had a fence enclosure. Once Meadow was born, the couple moved into their own mobile home with the kids. Malaya began to distance herself from friends and family. This was not just a normal thing of living away from people so you don't see each other. She quit being as sociable with people she was close to. Belinda, the children's paternal grandmother, and her ex-husband, Cody, noticed this. She kept in touch with the children and visited them often. Once Malaya moved to Lansdowne, the visits ended. In 2022, Hurricane Fiona knocked down trees, making the terrain of the property difficult to walk through. Still, the kids had room to play and even made forts out of sticks. Lily and Jack were enrolled at Salt Springs Elementary School in Salt Springs, Nova Scotia, roughly 17 kilometers or 10 miles from Lansdowne. It was a very small school with only 86 students. Lily was in kindergarten and Jack was in pre-K. This is actually called pre-primary and primary in Canada, but I am from America, so that's how I understand it. Malaya believed the kids were autistic but never received a diagnosis. I think an evaluation was underway. The staff noticed things about Lily that concerned them. She came to school without winter-appropriate clothing and looked unkempt. They did call Child Protective Services. They did not see any injuries or abuse, so nothing was ever happened. The school posted pictures of a field trip that Jack attended, showing green and purple bruises under his left eye. Daniel blamed Lily, saying she punched him in the face. Lily was also seen with a black eye, which Daniel claimed was caused when she pushed down on a toy truck and it smacked her in the face. The bus would pick them up and drop them off at the end of the driveway. The last day they attended school was April 29, 2025. On April 30th, the school held a staff development day, so there were no classes. They spent the day doing errands. First, they did laundry at a relative's house. The family went grocery shopping and was home at 10:19 p.m. The following day, on May 1st, Lily and Daniel had a cough, so Malaya kept both kids home. Around 2:25 p.m., the family traveled 30 kilometers, or almost 20 miles, to New Glasgow to a Dollarama. A Dollarama is basically the Canadian version of a Dollar Tree. Their visit was confirmed, and the two siblings were captured on CCTV. Lily and Jack were put to bed between 9 and 10 p.m. Daniel spent the rest of the day working on the fence while the kids got ready for bed. Different time frames were given to authorities, which we'll get into later. The next day, May 2nd, Malaya marked the kids as absent again on the school app at 6:15 a.m. because they were still sick. I do not know why she kept bringing them out if they were still sick. That's just something that stuck out to me. Well, after reporting the absence, she went back to bed. By 8 a.m., Lily and Jack were awake and making enough noise to wake up baby Meadow, so Malaya picked up Meadow and brought her into bed to sleep more. They remembered that Lily came into the bedroom several times and they could hear Jack in the kitchen opening the patio door to play outside. Malaya was in and out of sleep, but around 9:40 a.m., she noticed the house was strangely quiet. She asked Daniel if he had heard Jack or Lily recently. He told her he has not and that it has been quiet. I do not know how that is not worth checking out. They may have gone back to sleep, but they are 6 and 4 and could be hurt, getting into something, or missing. According to Malaya, Daniel would put up a wrench on top of the door to hear anyone from opening the door, like the kids or maybe an intruder. There was also a local black bear that would enter the home for food, which is terrifying, especially with kids. It was still where he left it, so he thought maybe they left out the sliding door, which is normally you could not hear anything when opening it. The couple said they looked in the kids' respective bedrooms and found them empty. Then they searched the rest of the trailer with no sign in the home. They started searching outside for the kids, calling their names. Daniel began driving around, searching for them, including along the tree lines and the culverts. He drove around for 10 minutes before heading back home. They searched the nearby woods where they sometimes would play. Janie Mackenzie, Daniel's mother, was maybe the last person to hear the children before they went missing. She said she woke up around 6 a.m. She made some tea, browsed Facebook, then went outside to feed her chickens at 7. At that point, she was the only one outside, and it was completely quiet. The kids most likely were still asleep. At 8:48, she received a call from her brother asking her to meet with him, but she ended up going back to bed, but woke up again almost immediately when she heard her dog barking. She also said that she could hear the kids laughing and swinging on the playset. She ended up going back to bed, probably thinking Daniel and Malaya were awake. This was until 9:14 when she heard Daniel and Malaya calling for the kids. She figured they could not have gone far because when the family went on walks, Jack would get tired and need to be carried. He would sit down and refuse to move until picked up. She decided to check on their fort area made out of sticks, thinking that maybe they got tired of the playset, and they continued to search until she got to the dirt road, turned around to return home, thinking they could have not gone that far. I should mention the weather that day. It was very cold at 40 degrees Fahrenheit with melting snow, so wet and muddy. At 10:01 a.m., Malaya called 911 to report Lily and Jack as missing. She said that they were possibly autistic and that they were known to roam. She said that Lily was most likely wearing her pink sweater, pants, and boots, and Jack was probably in his dinosaur boots. This appears to be based on what items were missing from the home. Lily's backpack, cream-colored with a strawberry print, was also missing. The police arrived at 1407 Gerlich Road at 10:27 a.m. A comprehensive search was conducted immediately, including ground searches from across Nova Scotia. Searches from various avenues occurred, such as the Civil Air Search and Rescue Association, the Department of Natural Resources for air support, and canine drone searches. Daniel told police he thought he heard a scream, possibly Lily or Jack, but a helicopter flying overhead made it hard to hear. They could not confirm whether Daniel searched because he could not provide a timeline of searches and did not bring his phone. At 12:25, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, or the RCMP, as I will refer to them, issued a statement to the public. They notified the public of Lily and Jack's disappearance and encouraged anyone with information to come forward. The police said they believed that they wandered from their home. There was no evidence of abduction. Around 4, 3 family members emerged from the woods carrying Lily's pink blanket. It was torn and hanging from a tree 1 kilometer from the property, or less than a mile. Searches were redirected to this area, and canines were given the blanket to locate any trace of Lily, but found nothing. If Lily carried it into the woods, her scent could be traceable, right? Well, Malaya said that the blanket was not in the home. Actually, it was in the trash. It was Lily's favorite for a while, but she grew out of it, so Daniel repurposed it to use to block a draft under the door before throwing it away. This is so weird to me. What do you mean that you took your daughter's favorite blanket to put under the door and then you tossed it in the trash? I still have my daughter's baby blanket stored away, and she's 17, so that's suspicious to me. Then at 4:55 p.m., they update the disappearance with a vulnerable missing person advisory for Pictou County. They told the public to avoid the area where the kids disappeared. Around 11:30, a drone detected heat signatures with infrared sensors. RCMP officers arrived at the scene. They found nothing. The following day, on May 3rd, Malaya called the police to tell them to look into Cody Sullivan. She was worried that he had taken them across the border to New Brunswick. Police went to Cody's home, which is when he told them that he had not seen his children for years. The request to see surveillance at Kubalik Pass, which is the bridge on Trans-Canada Highway to get to New Brunswick, New Jersey. That same day, Malaya's family found out about Daniel's past drug issues. They were furious. They heard rumors that he was involved in a meth house. They confronted him at the property, and ultimately Janie, Daniel's mom, asked them to leave. Malaya was reviewing maps, and she got hit with her new reality. She was seen handing a family member Meadow and having a panic attack. Daniel tried to talk with her, but her mom, Cindy, got in between them, and then she ended up driving away with Meadow, but without Daniel. Then they were getting into disagreements about where Meadow was going to stay. He wanted her to stay with them, but she wanted her to stay with her mom to shield her from the circus. That same day, they searched Earl Martell's property, which is Daniel's father. He lived right down the road and had toys, so they figured it could not hurt. But unfortunately, they were not there either. While waiting for the request to get approved, a search party of at least 100 volunteers and police were formed. They conducted a ground search using canine units drones, and helicopters to hopefully find Lily and Jack. Malaya spoke to CTV News, saying that they just want them home. That night they disappeared was the worst night because they were not in their beds, and that she does not want to go another night without them. By May 4th, the number of searches had increased to 160 people. The Nova Scotia community was invested and just wanted the kids home. These were now Nova Scotia's children. Daniel said he wanted authorities to monitor the New Brunswick border and airports in case they were taken. On May 6th, Daniel announced that Malaya had left Lansdowne to be with family and had blocked him on social media. Cindy Murray, Malaya's mother, said that the family is hoping and praying for the children's safe return. Malaya almost went completely silent. She said that they were advised by police not to speak with the media. Daniel, however, was very vocal. He went on different news outlets and even did YouTube interviews. He told his side of the story, attempting to correct the narrative against him. He even referred to him as the figurehead of the investigation. He made this weird third-person statement in an interview, saying he has nothing to do with the disappearance, but in the public, as long as he looks evil, the public will judge him as being guilty. This did not help his image. Then more images of the kids would emerge, showing bruises. He of course blamed them for causing their wounds. Belinda, Cody's mom, saw these pictures and it destroyed her. You know about the bruises, she noticed that they looked malnourished and thin, with cracked lips. She said that the kids were felled not only by Malaya and Daniel, but also her. Police asked Malaya if Daniel physically abused her during the relationship, and she said that he was, and that he would block her and try and hold her when she tried to leave. In at least one incident, she attempted to call her mother, and he took the phone away. When asked, he yelled in response to allegations and denied them. Seems like he has anger issues. He said that they had their ups and downs, but never got physical. He basically insinuated that they were trying to set him up to take the fall. Police were very cautious of his narrative and took everything he said with a grain of salt. Put a pin in what Malaya said about abuse. She had all the warning signs of isolation, such as a decline in communication and moving away from her support system. On the other hand, Daniel was vocal about the disappearance, whereas Malaya was silent. It was confusing on both sides. On May 7th, the police said they received no confirmed sightings of Lily and Jack, and that it was unlikely they were alive. They also announced their plans to scale back searches. On May 8th and May 9th, the recovery team searched multiple bodies of water, including 3 ponds and Lansdowne Lake, but also found no sign of them. There was also a tip that Cody was seen at a hotel in New Brunswick on May 7th. He was confused and insisted he had not left Nova Scotia. They looked into the tip and verified Cody's story. He was removed as a person of interest. On May 12th, both Malaya and Daniel agreed to polygraphs. I have spoken about this before, but the tests are not always accurate and not admissible in court, yada yada yada. But despite all that, they passed the polygraphs. A renewed search with 115 volunteers began on May 18th. On May 28th, the last confirmed sighting of the siblings were announced. This was later to be the visit to the Dollarama I spoke about earlier in this video. This was kept quiet to protect the investigation. Investigators are working hard, and by June, they talked to 50-something people and conducted several polygraphs. Daniel spoke to the CBC around this time and said detectives directed their question to him, having done something to Lily and Jack. On June 2nd, a candlelight vigil was held outside the RCMP unit in Stellarton. An estimated 50 people attended the vigil. They left stuffed animals, candles, etc. for Lily and Jack. By this point, Malaya and Daniel were receiving hate online. I do not think she attended the vigil, but Daniel attended with Belinda. They released 2 paper lanterns, one for each of the siblings. Daniel spoke to the public, asking them to stop targeting Malaya. He said it was affecting her mental health and it was not helpful to her or their baby Meadow. On June 10th, Janie, Daniel's mom, underwent a polygraph, but police said that the results could not be considered because her sociology was not suitable for analysis. Cody took a polygraph on June 12th and passed. Malaya's mother, Cindy, and Cindy's boyfriend took polygraphs on July 2nd and passed. Police did not make a statement saying that they did not think the disappearance was criminal in nature because they cleared everyone. Again, polygraphs are not an end-all, be-all, but what do I know? Still, they announced a reward for up to $150,000 for information on the children's disappearances, depending on the information given. They seem to have really wanted to figure this out. Police went through over 8,000 video files, frame by frame. Between May 16th and July 16th, they executed 12 search warrants. This included property records, phone records, financial records, and CCTV footage. On September 2025, the RCMP deployed cadaver dogs trained in specifically to search for human remains. They had one from Alberta and one from British Columbia, as there are a limited number in all of Canada. They covered 40 kilometers or 24 miles in 3 days, but found nothing. In November, a new search was conducted with 30 volunteers near Middle River. One found a blanket with bones wrapped in it, but it turned out to be animal bones. They were also asked to leave because the property owner said that he had dangerous animals, which turned out to be rams. This case was discussed in true crime communities on Facebook, Reddit, and YouTube. Lily and Jack pulled on people's heartstrings and intrigued them. Melinda Gray and Daniel would follow these and comment on them. Another notable person inserting themselves into this was Darren Geddes. Who was Darren? He was Malaya's grandmother, Patty Pearson's first cousin. Darren appeared in a YouTube video on It's a Crying Shame with creator Sonny Justice and Aspen Connor. Darren theorized that Malaya sent the children away in a vehicle and reported them missing. He claimed that she sent them to stay with her father on the reservation. He knew specific details of the day. But why would she do that? Why not send them to live with her grandmother and father? He would say, but I could be wrong, possibly to avoid a lawsuit. His interview drew the RCMP's attention, prompting them to question him. On May 30th, he was confrontational and evasive. He came off to the officers as trying to get information. He got pissed when they would not share any information. He also did not want to be recorded. A month later, Malaya gave police recording of a phone call between Darren and her grandmother Patty. This was recorded on June 21st. It's unclear if he knew he was being recorded. In October 2025, Malaya wrote a statement through the Please Bring Me Home group saying, I will never stop searching for my children until they are found and brought home safe and sound. Someone somewhere knows something, so please bring my babies home. On January 26, 2026, Daniel Martell was arrested at 11:30 a.m. for assault and forcible confinement of adult. This occurred between September 1st, 2024 and March 30th, 2025, so right before the disappearances. The victim was not confirmed whether it was Malaya or someone else, as they are protected until the trial happens. It was classified separately from Lily and Jack's case, though. He was released on conditions and scheduled to appear on March 2nd. Surprisingly, he had nothing to say for one. It was adjourned, meaning postponed, because they have received new evidence, so they need time for defense to look over it. He will be back in court on May 4th. As of April 27th, Lily and Jack have not been found. There's no new sightings since May 1st, 2025, when they went to the Dollarama. Malaya and Daniel, it is classified under the Missing Persons Act. It has not been labeled criminal, but that could always change. The reward is still up to $150,000 upon information. The most widely believed theory is that Lily and Jack were abducted. Daniel pushed this theory from day one. The police said there's no evidence that this has happened. The dogs cannot track them. There was a woman named Natasha Hayward who was driving on May 2nd with her sons when she saw a woman with kids resembling Lily and Jack holding an older woman's hand, aged 50 to 60 years old. They were standing by an older tan or golden sedan on Gaelic Road in Lansdowne Station, which was very close to the Sullivan's home, but as it turns out, the children were 9 or 10 and 5 years old. The police investigated just to be safe, but nothing ever came out of it. This just fueled the abduction theory. The next theory is that they wandered into the woods and may have gotten lost. Malaya said this from day one, that they are being evaluated for autism and had a tendency of roaming from the home. This is a common thing for kids on the spectrum. I see news stories often where they wander off and die of exposure. It's really freaking sad. So the theory goes they wandered out the patio door into the forest and got lost. This is plausible, but the area was searched and the waters were searched, and the cadaver dogs found nothing. Drones and helicopters found nothing. And the final theory was foul play. Most people believe this. We got allegations of domestic abuse, financial issues, isolation, and kids showing up with bruises and neglect. Malaya was also used the Text Plus app because her service in the area was sparse, but she later deleted it. This erased all records of conversation. They were also looking into the thumb drive that contained footage, but as of right now, the footage has been redacted. She said that she was not using it, so she got rid of it. Their neighbors, Brad Wong and Justin Smith, saw a vehicle making multiple trips to and from the property after midnight on May 2nd. Justin said he heard a vehicle on Highway 289 near the railroad track where a blanket and a child's boot print were found. They thought it was Daniel, but Daniel said he never left, and that if anyone left, it was Malaya. The RCMP found no footage of any vehicle during that time. Look, sometimes people insert themselves because they want attention or want to help, so that's what that could be. Or it could just be a wrong vehicle. I find this case very confusing. Everything is so convoluted that I have mixed feelings on what may have happened. None of the theories fully make sense. On one hand, Malaya and Daniel were acting suspicious. The thing that always sticks out to me is that she turned on Daniel, but he has defended her. I just think if they were both guilty of something, would he not throw her under the bus? Kidnapping seems unlikely as it was isolated property and nothing was ever heard. I suppose they could have wandered away and got lost and died of exposure or something, but would their bodies not have been found with all the searches they did? The one that makes the most sense is that they went outside, wandered away in the woods, maybe got lost and died from exposure of the element. So hopefully we'll get some answers soon. What could change in situations like this? It's truly hard to give advice when we don't know exactly what happened. If they wandered away, then precautions should be taken. It's believed they may have had autism, and I talked about how I've seen this many times with these circumstances where autistic kids wander out of their home and then drown in pools or bodies of water. This case is very ongoing with updates coming out so often, so I will update when I hear more. What do you believe happened to Lily and Jack? I want to know your opinion, but please be respectful. If you're a judgmental dick, you will be removed and blocked. Comment, subscribe, and like. If you have any future cases you would like me to cover, please request a case using the link in my description box. Join me next time when I discuss a case for the murder of a teenage girl from Nevada for my Wicked Wednesday case. Until next time, stay curious, cautious, and safe. Okay, bye.